Look at this house. It is a box. It has 2 bedrooms, a leaking roof, and it smells like 1980. 5 years ago, this house cost $200,000. Today, they are asking for $500,000. And the worst part? People are actually lining up to buy it. You have been told your entire life that buying a house is the ultimate sign of success. Your parents told you to buy. Your friends are posting photos of their new keys on Instagram. And the bank? The bank is practically begging you to sign the papers. They call it the American dream. But I'm going to tell you the truth that your real estate agent is terrified you will find out. That dream is actually a mathematical trap designed to keep you broke, obedient, and stuck in a job you hate for the next 30 years. In this video, I am going to break down the brutal math of the 2026 housing market. I am going to show you why renting is actually the smartest financial decision you can make right now. And I am going to reveal the exact calculation, the one the banks hide, that proves buying that $500,000 house could cost you over $1 million in lost wealth. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to beat the system instead of becoming a victim of it. Let's start with the number everyone ignores. Interest. When you look at a $500,000 house, you think the price is $500,000. That is mistake number 1. You are not buying the house with your money. You are buying it with the bank's money. And the bank does not lend money for free. Let's run the numbers for 2026. You put down 20%. That is $100,000 of your hard-earned cash gone instantly. You take out a loan for the remaining $400,000. At current interest rates, let's say around 7%, do you know what your monthly payment is? It is not cheap. But the monthly payment isn't the trap. The trap is the amortization schedule. In the first year of your mortgage, you are not paying for the house. You are paying the bank's profit. Out of your monthly check, almost 80 to 90% goes strictly to interest. You are effectively renting money. You are not building equity. You are building the bank's CEO's bonus. Over the life of a 30-year loan at 7%, you will pay nearly $550,000 in interest alone. That means you are buying the house for yourself, and then you are buying a second house for the bank. That $500,000 box actually costs you over $1 million. And that is before we even talk about the silent wealth killers that nobody puts on the Zillow listing. This is where the rent is throwing money away argument falls apart. People say, when I rent, I get nothing back. When I buy, I am investing. Are you? Let's talk about unrecoverable costs. When you rent, your unrecoverable cost is the rent. That's it. You pay, you live there, you leave. But when you own, your unrecoverable costs are massive, but they are invisible. First, property taxes. In many states, you are paying 2 to 3% of the home's value to the government every single year forever. On a $500,000 house, that is $10,000 to $15,000 a year. That is $1,000 a month that is just gone. You never see it again. It builds zero equity. It is effectively rent you pay to the government to keep living in your house. Then, add homeowner's insurance. Another $2,000 a year. Gone. Then, maintenance. The rule of thumb is 1% of the home's value per year. The water heater explodes. The roof leaks. The AC unit dies in the middle of July. When you rent, that is the landlord's problem. When you own, that is your problem. That is another $5,000 a year on average. So let's add it up. Interest, taxes, insurance, maintenance. On that investment home, you are throwing away nearly $3,000 to $4,000 a month in unrecoverable costs. That is money that does not build equity. It just disappears. If you can rent a similar house for $3,000 a month, renting is actually mathematically cheaper than owning. You are throwing away less money by renting than you are by owning. But nobody runs these numbers because the emotional pull of owning is too strong. But wait, it gets worse. This is the part that makes financial advisors sweat. It is called opportunity cost. Remember that $100,000 down payment? The money you scraped and saved for years to get? When you buy a house, you take that cash and you lock it inside the drywall. It sits there, doing nothing. It does not pay you dividends. It does not compound. It just sits. What if, instead of buying that house you rented, you take that $100,000 and you put it into the S&P 500? And every month, because renting is cheaper than the mortgage plus taxes plus repairs, you invest the difference. Let's say you save an extra $500 a month. Over 30 years, assuming average market returns of 8 to 10%, Do you know what that turns into? That $100,000 plus the monthly savings grows to over $2 million. Liquid cash, money you can use to retire, travel, or start a business. Meanwhile, the homeowner has a house. Sure, the house went up in value. Maybe it is worth $1 million now, but they had to pay for a new roof 3 times. They paid taxes for 30 years. They paid interest for 30 years. When you subtract all the money they poured into that house, their actual profit is tiny compared to the $2 million you made by simply renting and investing. Buying a house in your 20s or 30s is often the biggest opportunity cost of your life. You are taking your most powerful wealth-building tool, compound interest, and burying it in the backyard. Now, let's move away from the math and talk about your brain. The banks know something about human psychology that you don't. They know that debt makes you compliant. When you sign a 30-year mortgage, you are putting on golden handcuffs. You suddenly have a massive liability hanging over your head. You need that paycheck. You need that job stability. What happens when your boss treats you like garbage? You can't quit. You have a mortgage. What happens when you want to start a business or take a risk? You can't. You have a mortgage. What happens when a great job offer comes up in a different city? You can't move easily. You have to sell the house, pay 6% in agent fees, and pay closing costs. A house is an anchor. It ties you to one location and one income source. In a world that is changing as fast as 2026, flexibility is the ultimate asset. The ability to move, to switch careers, to take risks. That is where real wealth is built. By buying a house too early, you are trading your freedom for a false sense of security. The bank loves this. They want you to be a stable, risk-averse employee who pays them interest for 3 decades. They do not want you to be a wealthy, free individual who owns their own time. So why does everyone believe the opposite? Why does everyone think renting is for losers? Because of marketing. For 80 years, the real estate industry, the construction industry, and the banking industry have spent billions of dollars selling you the American dream. They invented terms like starter home to make you feel inadequate if you didn't buy. They lobbied the government to give tax breaks for mortgages to incentivize debt. They created a culture where your social status is determined by the square footage of your house. Think about it. Who benefits when you buy a house? The real estate agent gets a commission. The mortgage broker gets a commission. The bank gets interest. The government gets taxes. The contractor gets repair money. Everyone gets paid, except you. You get the bill. You are the product in their business model. And the product they are selling is your own debt. Does this mean you should never buy a house? No, I am not saying that. I am saying you need to stop buying houses like poor people buy houses. Poor people buy houses based on monthly payments. They ask, can I afford the monthly bill? If the bank says yes, they sign. That is financial suicide. Rich people buy houses based on net worth. They do not buy a house until the cost of the house is a small fraction of their total wealth. Here is the rule you need to follow if you want to survive the 2026 market. It is called the 30/30/3 rule. First, do not buy until you have 30% in cash, 20% for the down payment, and 10% as a cash buffer for when things break, because they will break. Second, the value of the home should not exceed 3 times your annual gross income. If you make $100,000 a year, you cannot afford a $500,000 house. You can afford a $300,000 house. If that house doesn't exist in your market, guess what? You cannot afford to buy in your market. That is not an insult. That is math protecting you from bankruptcy. Third, your monthly payment should never exceed 30% of your take-home pay. Not your gross pay, your actual money in the bank. If your mortgage makes you house poor, you are not a homeowner. You are a prisoner. The housing market in 2026 is irrational. It is fueled by low inventory and desperate buyers who are making emotional decisions. Do not be one of them. There is no shame in renting. In fact, right now, renting is the power move. While your friends are stress-eating because their water heater broke or their property taxes went up, you are investing the difference. You are building a mountain of liquid cash in the stock market. You are keeping your options open. You are free to move, free to quit, free to live. Let the suckers overpay for the $500,000 shack. Let them chain themselves to a 30-year debt for a depreciating asset. You play the long game. Build your cash. Build your portfolio. And then, when you are actually wealthy, not just mortgage wealthy, then you can buy the house you want, on your terms, without the stress. Don't fall for the trap. The American dream isn't a house. The American dream is freedom. And right now, the price of that freedom is realizing that you don't need to sign that contract. But saving money by renting is only step one. If you just leave that extra cash in a savings account, inflation will eat it alive. You need a machine that turns that cash into freedom automatically. In this next video, I reveal the exact payday protocol the rich use to split their paycheck, automate their investing, and build millions without ever budgeting a single penny. Stop working for money and start making your money work for you. Click right here to copy my system, and I'll see you there.